Hi, this is Huang Zhenyu, or Z, and my co-host Ken Wilcox for another episode of China 411. Today we're going to talk about media, and we're very fortunate to have as our special guest Han Shasha, who is a reporter living and working in the United States for the People's Daily. Welcome, Shasha.
Thanks.
So before we start, I'm going to tell a really quick little story. I remember growing up in China when I was very small. My grandfather would tell me, America is this amazing country full of riches, milk and honey, and somehow people ate steak and bread every single day. Now for me, until the age of 10, I had never seen anything on the United States. And all I can imagine is this amazing group of people who somehow ate steak and bread every single day. With that, we get to the point of media and how the two countries are portrayed differently and similarly by the other side. But first, we'd love to hear you introduce yourself a little bit.
And tell us a little bit about your farm, please. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Sasha Han. I'm a journalist with People's Daily Online. Actually, it's online media, and it's very mainstream and with great authority in China. And I have been here, in the United States for 4 years, also working for the whole company, but that's the parent company in China. Here we have a new company called People's Daily Online West USA Inc. here. Yeah, talking about my arm, I just broke it 2 weeks ago.
From
How?
From skateboarding.
Wow.
So were you a skateboarder before, or did you just pick this up recently?
Yeah, I say that I bought my first board 3 weeks ago. So because I never do this, I have never done this before. I want to try it, and then I find that it's so easy to get started. I think I may have some kind of talent, and then I started to do some tricks, but finally I got this.
Well, I can say for myself, the only reason I don't have a cast like that is I have no talent, so I never would have tried. Tell us a little bit more about the People's Daily. Is it big? Is it small? And what does it do?
Yeah, when you refer to People's Daily, it's a newspaper.
Yes.
But
But you're not with a newspaper.
No. I work for the People's Daily Online. It's an online media, and when you say whether it's a big or a small one, I would like to say it's a big one. First, because we have over 2,000, almost 3,000 workers there. We have every branches and offices in the 31 provinces and autonomous areas in China, and we also have over 10 overseas branches all over the world. But referring to its influence, I think it's a very big one in China. We have according to the data from the third party, we have an average of 300 million readerships. Page viewers.
300 million
Yeah,
every day.
yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So how big is the office in San Francisco? Because you're in San Francisco, right? Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 3 workers here, so I think it's small.
Only 3.
Yeah, only
Yeah.
3.
Are you the boss?
No, I'm just a reporter here.
Just a reporter.
Yeah,
And how long have you been here?
4 years.
4 years? Are you sure?
Yeah, it's just like your election cycle, right?
Yeah.
For the president.
Oh, so I must have met you right after you got here then, because I met you 4 years ago.
Yeah, the first year.
Yeah. Very first year.
So what is media like in China versus what you learned about American media in these 4 years?
Yeah, actually, I think it is, according to my experience working, to be honest, I just worked as a journalist for 1 year in China, and then I was in here 4 years ago. In China, I think because I just introduced, how People's Daily Online is, so it's very easy. I can say it's very easy to get whatever you want to tell or you want to interview for example, if there's a very big event, I want a very influential expert. I may call him, I may just send an email, and then they're so glad and kind of happy to get interviewed. But here, it's so difficult because I have to first search online to find who is the right person to get interviewed. And then I send my email. After 1 week or 2 weeks, they may just give back a reply saying that, I think I needed to limit myself appearance, all my media exposures, something like that. So you have to find another person. Or sometimes they just, you can hear back. So
in China, it's easy, but in the U.S., it's not as easy.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think, sometimes I'll also ask myself, the question, why is hard here? Because first, I don't think here people know a lot about people study online or how the influence is. And also I don't think most people here have, can I say, the trust, because I work for media from China, all the just based on my own experience and guessing. I don't know whether it's true.
You briefly alluded to the fact that maybe in the U.S., there's a lack of trust of Chinese media. In China, is there a lack of trust of American media?
I think, everybody knows that it's a true story.
What do you mean?
Everybody knows. Even you, if I ask you the same question, do you think the Chinese American people trust the Chinese media?
Well, you kind of said, and I think I probably agree with you that most
it's
Americans don't trust Chinese
no
media.
trust, but not enough trust, even for two countries.
There was a lack of trust.
Yeah,
and now
I can
both
see that.
medias are portraying the other side in a negative light. So how do you actually increase the trust? It sounds like we're actually in a very dangerous path.
You know what? If you check your media, you will find that this phenomenon is even more serious.
What do you think, Ken?
Oh, when you say
Really?
if you check our media, are you saying that our media is more critical of China than China's media is of the U.S.?
Yeah, I think so. You can check, because my major is, before I worked as a journalist, my major is international communications. I think I did some research, but I cannot tell that's the whole picture. But according to my own little studies, I find the result is like this. But I don't want to make it like some story. People will, yeah.
I'm not sure. I think that this may be a question of perception. And what I mean by that is, I think that we are always, as human beings, more aware of criticism that people direct at us than we are of criticism that we direct at other people.
If the current situation is both sides are covering the other side in a negative light, what's your job in particular?
Yeah, that's what I, want to say, that my job is, as I referred first, I want to promote the better understanding between the two countries. So that's why, based on my own experience, I will not introduce there's a shooting case, or there's an accident, or there's a fire, or the earthquake, everything. I will also introduce the technology thing, the business development, the investment here, everything. I just want to tell what's happening here, but I don't want to say that everything happens here is so bad, is so negative. I just want to introduce how bad the country is, but I just want to introduce what's happening here.
So you probably met quite a few media people here in the U.S. who work in American media in the past 4 years?
You mean I met some?
Yeah,
Yes.
in the past 4 years?
Yeah.
Why do you think they have a negative view of China?
I think first, the media people here I met are kind of different from what I can see that about the negative reports. I think maybe the environment here is very unique. I mean, in Silicon Valley, people are still focusing on more. I mean, all the journalists here even focusing more on the technology thing or the business or trade thing. So the people here I met, I think we have a very very happy or very good conversations about all the things happening, or what's happening in China, or what's happening here in Silicon Valley. So I don't see like a negative things from them. But I mean, the negative thing is like each time there is, because generally I don't see a lot of news coverage about China here. But each time when I see there is a news coverage about China, it's the bad thing.
So have you talked to the people who wrote about those articles? And why do they cover?
No, because that things are all about the social the
But
social
even
news.
even in technology, there's a lot of discussions about how China potentially is stealing intellectual property. We just had a speaker that talked about potentially crossing the ethical boundaries when it comes to corporate work. Have you run across that?
Yeah.
And why is that, in your opinion?
Because I can say everything, right?
Oh, you can say anything you want. Yeah, of course, please.
To be honest, like every company, when you start your business, it's like, because I must admit that here Silicon Valley is the center of the innovation and even the top of the world. So here you have the most advanced technology. And even some other companies copied something from your own companies here. For example, I don't even to mention, but Apple also is a copier from other the first the software or hardware makers. The same thing, since you are a company or you are you have left behind, you want to learn something from the front runners. You have to learn from them, and since at first I don't want to say that you must copy that, but you have to learn from them, and then later, based on your own knowledge, your own experience, and then you are trying to make some improvement or innovations, make you different from them.
Okay.
Even Apple here or other companies did the same thing here.
So how do you bridge that two perspectives, right? Those two perspectives. One, you said from the Chinese side or the Chinese perspective of, hey, I'm behind. Of course I'm going to copy what's in front of me.
Not of course I'm copy that. I mean, now, if you compare what's happening now to 2 years ago in the technology industry, you will find that all the news, like the copy or everything else, is reducing. I don't know whether you noticed that or not.
What do you think? Do you think that's reducing?
I think it is actually somewhat.
How do you feel like there's any censorship here in the media in the US as you have experienced in the past 4 years? And what is media censorship like in China?
I think before I came, I know this must be the question, and yeah, I
Before
know
you came
that.
here today, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know that.
Yeah.
I cannot get around.
You don't have to answer any questions you don't want to.
That's what made her fell off the skateboard.
Yeah. Actually, talking about censorship, that's a very sensitive topic to talk, actually. But I want to say something. Here in the U.S., I find that you do have censorship. You do. Although it's not from your government, it's from each media group. It's from your, the financial group behind the media, and also from the pressure of your public. I mean, the racial thing I mean the prejudice against the sex. I mean the female or male thing. You have so many issues and problems here. Media each time when you refers to this, I think I don't know mean you means you. I mean the media here. Yeah, they have kind of self censorship by themselves. I can feel that. I can tell that. when you talk about the censorship, and also the other thing I want to say is, when you said censorship, you think that you always, refers to the Chinese government's control over media. You use the word control, and you use the word censorship. That's two different kind of things. Even here, your media's censorship is also kind of like a, you want to get something better for some groups or your media group's interest. It's the same thing there in China. I don't want to say that the government control media, but to some extent, you have to make everything in that kind of for the interest of the government, of the whole country.
You mean
It's
for
the
the
same
U.S.
thing
or China?
For China.
For China.
Yeah,
okay.
it's the same thing here. If you cannot say in the media, say at first I don't want, let's just take Snowden as an example. I think you still have some, also kind of censorship.
And what do you mean by
about
censorship?
When something may hurt your national interest.
Oh, national security.
Yeah, national security.
Got it. But specifically, how does, say, media censorship play in your daily job? What can you not write? What can you write?
Yeah,
what do you have to think about
that's
every
the
day?
thing I want to clarify. It's not like for me. Actually, I don't get a specific instructions every day saying that, Sasha Han, you can do this, you cannot do that. I didn't get that instruction every day. And when we talk about censorship, it's like kind of you have you have some guidelines there, but they don't control every day. Like each media outlets or groups, you have your own board, and you will have a meeting. I mean, before the reporting or after each day's report, there will be a meeting. You will have a discussion with all the board members or all the main editors. You will decide, what's the topic we want to make, what's the story. Like every media group here, even because I also paid some visit to the San Francisco Chronicle there. I also attended one of their board meetings there. It's also the same thing like what's happening in China.
What do you think? Is there self-censorship in the United States, Ken?
Oh, definitely. Definitely in the sense that, to me, the big difference between China and the U.S. With respect to the censorship issue is that here we have many competing voices. So clearly, National Public Radio is going to have one view of things, and they're probably not going to be spending too much time giving the opposing view. Or they'll assume that people understand the opposing view. There's no doubt National Public Radio has a view. Then we have Fox News, and Fox News has a very specific view. And that what they report will correspond to their own view. And I think the difference, from my perspective anyway, the difference is in China that it's first and foremost the government that has a view, and that it's important that the reporting at least be consistent with the major views of the government. But in both cases, it's a form of censorship. But the one difference is that there are lots of competing voices here. And in China, there aren't a lot of competing voices. There's primarily one voice, and I think, to me, that's the big difference. Do you see that? Do you think I'm wrong on this, or do you see it differently?
Yeah, I can see what you are talking about. Yeah, it's not like a one voice. I mean, I don't know how to say that, but just because you like each media group, you have kind of the guideline to consider. So you know there's a baseline here. That doesn't mean that you cannot give different voices. You can give different voices from different angles, but you know where the baseline is. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting, the role of media in American society, right? One, you said, well, obviously they have to make money for themselves. Second is they're there to educate the public. And third is a lot of them think that they're watchdogs for society, right? What is the role of media in China?
I think we all have the same thing here, but what I want to say is how to say that? It's like we have kind of I don't know how to say that.
Oh, say it in Chinese and we'll translate, or Z will translate. Yeah.
就是你能够感觉到，虽然说美国在这边，你们所有的这些观念或者是非常有媒体的这种 concept，其实在很多时候在中国它是一样的，只不过是因为在这里你们只是看得到他在指责政府，或者是说他在让你看到一个说是它是一个非常 independent 这么一个第三方的一个组织，但是所有的这些媒体其实他们都带有自身的立场，他们都有带有哪怕不是完全是政府的来自政府那一方立场，但是每一个都有自己的立场。但是中国的媒体，因为大家也都知道，我们有很多是 private company， 但是也有一些是的确是有政府这么一个背景的这么一个媒体，我们叫做中央的这些媒体。但是呢，我们更多的可能是偏向，因为我们更多的没有说是作为一个 private 这么一个 company 来要考虑经济上的因素，但是我们可能更多的是全部是从这种 social effect 方面去考虑，我们是可能会更多的发挥一些我们叫做社会效应的这方面的 role 可能更多一点，反正我是这么理解的。对。
So you're basically saying, American media, they do question and critique the government, but they come from their own, each media outlet may have their own perspective and
Yeah.
their own interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in China, you have private and public media,
Yes.
but the private media, the public media, which you're part of, a lot of times they actually take a broader role or perspective
Yeah.
in terms of a societal perspective.
Yes.
So in essence, they're trying to achieve the same aims,
Yes.
just differently.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think, Ken, given your experiences?
I think that that's a correct interpretation, but it may be just a matter of outlook or taste. I like the idea of multiple voices as opposed to, at least in the case of the public media, a more, not single voice exactly, but a more consistent voice.
It's interesting you're talking about the whole world. And
Yeah.
I like to take this maybe a level above US and China. Because for a very long time, US media was the de facto outlet, potentially for the world, right? When people go to a hotel anywhere in the world, they turn on and they see CNN. CNN is an American media company. However, in many ways, it represented this voice that seemed to be global. Now, in the past few years, I would say in the past, decade or so, there's now emerging a different set of voices. Al Jazeera being an example, CCTV being another example. And in one way, it's governments like China trying to present an alternative voice that's also global in perspective. And the other is, I could potentially contend that, especially because of some of the wars that America has been engaged in, that people outside the US are potentially questioning the American media coverage of the world. And so in that global perspective, that competition for global perspective, where is China in the US? Where do you think China's role could be?
Outside China and outside the US.
Well, kind of being the voice that people around the world could turn to. Is that possible for China to create a voice as powerful as CNN? or
You-
potentially as powerful as BBC.
You have mentioned CCTV, right?
Yeah. Do you think it's possible for them to do what they want to do?
Yeah, because previously we don't have too much voices in the international arena. That's true, for the whole country. That's true. But now I think we are on the way to voice out to the whole world.
So we're running out of time here, but I would like to pose a different question as a way of rounding off, and that is that it is true American press is quite critical of China. It's also true in my perception that the Chinese press is quite critical of America. At the same time, I think that people generally get along better if they say nice things about each other, or if they appreciate the good points in each other. And so, as a way of rounding off here, I am perfectly happy to mention a couple things about China that I thought were really nice, that I admire or appreciate. And maybe in your experience here now in America, there's been at least a couple of things that you like or appreciate. So let's just round off with that. And one of the things I find really interesting about China that I really liked was the sense of community. So many communities in the U.S., including the one I live in, I actually can tell you in my town, which is here in Silicon Valley, I've got the neighbor, the woman who lives directly next door. I've actually never seen her in 18 years. Except from the back a couple of times, but I've never seen her face in 18 years. And yet in China, it feels like everybody knows everybody who's living in their neighborhood. And if you go through the parks in China at 6:30 in the morning, you'll find literally hundreds, maybe even thousands of retired people who are out in the park doing things together. They're dancing. 6:30 in the morning, they're dancing together, or they're playing badminton together, or they're singing together, or something. People have a very strong sense of community, and I think that's very admirable and very pleasant. So why don't you round this off by mentioning one or two things that you found really nice about America? So we say something nice about each other in
That's
our
good.
departure.
Yeah, a lot here actually. Of course, the weather, the food, the people, and the most important is that here I think there is a trust for even between the strangers here. I don't know whether it's true in other parts of the United States, but here in Silicon Valley, if today I'm in the Starbucks, I mean, I write my articles there. I just want to maybe pick up my phone outside. I just tell the strangers here saying that, could you help me take care of my stuff here? I can just leave for maybe 10 minutes. And then after I get back, everything is still here. Yeah. But I don't know whether the same thing will happen in China. I don't know. I mean, and I don't know whether they will happen in other areas of the, I just mean here in Silicon Valley. I can trust the stranger here.
Well, thank you very much for coming today. This has been really instructive. I think that we and our viewers probably will learn a lot from hearing your perspective. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also very honored to be here today.
Thank you again. And
you.
this is another episode of China 411. Until next time.